on the section to add my voice of concern regarding the 50% rebate. Now, I do know what the Minister is trying to achieve here. He's trying to achieve consistency across all local authorities, I presume. But could I just make the point where vacant properties occur, the same situation might not arise in the likes of Waterford City that would arise in Dublin or Cork, where it would have a very high demand, high business levels. But at the moment, city centre locations are struggling to some degree. I know in Waterford City at the moment. And I'm not sure by imposing the rebate on these vacant properties is the solution. And I think it possibly, and I would ask the Minister, would you look at maybe devolving that power to local authorities? I put this to city managers when they came before the committee as well. Some city managers said that it was an essential source of revenue, obviously, for their budgets, and that wouldn't surprise me with the manager saying that. But there is a reality on the ground with business the way it is, especially in the current economic climate, where, you know, I think we might be imposing these where they're not, maybe not suitable. And I think local authority councillors in the newly formed local authority areas would be best placed to decide whether that situation or that 50% rebate should apply or not in their particular local authority area. And I just asked the Minister, would he consider that?
Yeah, just to support what's been said, we certainly have concerns about that. You know, it could be a huge penalty on people, you know, through a period of economic downturn, which is happening at the present time. And I mean, obviously what we need is some incentives to get business premises back into use, not penalising people while they're empty. And the other thing I'd like to point out, Minister, is that on a lot of those properties at the moment, there are substantial loans. There are substantial loans out. There is huge negative equity, because people bought at boom time prices. And people who bought business premises like that, you know, negative equity, trying to service the loans on them. I certainly know some of them. I'm sure every other elected representative here does as well. And I think it's important that we don't put a further penalty on them. And what I prefer, you know, it's been mentioned already, and Deputy Coffey has said about leaving the discretion at the local level. I think that you need to do that. And what we need to do, I think we need to turn it the other direction. We need to be looking at incentives to try and get those premises and those businesses back up and running.
Deputy Murphy.
Yeah, I mean, if you go around any town or village in the country, the vacancy rates are absolutely huge. You just can't but notice it, and people are not leaving those premises vacant because for any reason other than there isn't the income to return profit on businesses that would go in there. I think we all know that. And if it's a question that you apply, you know, no rates remission for vacant properties, what's the knock-on effect of that? It's not that there's going to be a loss of income, because essentially the local authorities are going to be absolutely flat out going through the district court to try and get money that really is not there to be got. I don't see where the loss of income is going to be. I think Deputy Stanley is right. It's how you turn them around and how you use them. And some of that's got to do with the car parking thing that we were talking about a little while ago, because that absolutely is decimating some areas as well. But I don't see where there's actually going to be a potential loss of revenue. In fact, you could end up costing a fortune in terms of administrative time, district court time, and actually not ending up with a great deal of additional income because of the level of vacancy.
Yeah, well, this provision already exists in Cork, Limerick and Dublin. Yeah. Not everybody knows that. But I know.
All here now, and you don't be. And how many constituents know?
Dublin doesn't exist in all the local authorities.
Yes. Minister, now without interruption, thank you, colleagues.
One of the consequences of this as well is that premises that are being brought back into use where a business takes over, and I saw this happen with one council, they would say, you have a business being run by A, and A goes out of business, and the premises is lying empty for a while, and B takes it over, that the rate then that when B takes over, they have a battle with the local authority to try and have the hangover of the previous rates quashed, arrears quashed. And I just think that, you know, if a business comes in starting day one, they need a clean slate, it's hard enough, profit margins are tight, and just where we're trying to create jobs, I just think that this is going to really create penalty.
The latter issue, I am doing something about it. I think the landlord should be responsible for any particular arrears of rates, not the occupier or the tenant. At the moment, what you have is a situation where a tenant who has moved out, or done, as I say, done a runner, the person that comes along subsequently has to pick up the tab for the arrears of rates. That's not fair to the people that want to set up a new business, and we're going to address that. And second of all, I am going to address the provision in an amendment to this legislation to allow discretion to each local authority to decide whether they want to have 100% rates relief or 50% rates relief along the spirit of what you've all said.
So it'll remain as it is.
No,
Will it remain as it is for local authorities who have that discretion and who can, for example,
they
can seek evidence from a property owner to provide evidence that he has sought to let that building from a third?
No, they haven't discretion at the moment.
Discretion is
the Minister of the day decides.
I think common sense has been
I just want to clarify what the legal position is. The legal position is that the Minister of the day decides what local authority are going to have that discretion or not. And the Minister of the day decided that Cork, Limerick and Dublin were to have Dublin City Council had that discretion in the past. I am now devolving that functional responsibility to the elected members, that in each local authority area they can decide whether they want to. I had an all-party committee from Galway City to meet me, looking for this provision that they had in Limerick already and Cork and Dublin to be applied to Galway City. And I didn't agree with this.
Respect that, but your proposal had made it plain that it was going to apply across the country. I'm glad to hear now that you've backed down on that.
No, I haven't backed down on it at the principle at all. What I'm saying is that the elected member will decide that. It'll be a reserved function of the local authority.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all we wanted. That's what we wanted.
Just on the devolved.
That's not what was there.
Yeah, just on the devolved power.
Forward an amendment to achieve.
Thank you.
Just on the devolved power.
Okay, Truls, Chair, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Minister
Just on the devolved power that the Minister speaks about, the 50% rebate, can I say I welcome that, and I'm glad that the Minister is listening, and he has listened to his colleagues in the Fine Gael party, because that's something we have indeed been lobbying on behalf of the various local authority areas. So I'm glad you're bringing forward an amendment in that regard. Can I just say in regard to the legacy bills, the legacy rates issue, that is an issue of concern. I mean, so you might be aware, or I think you are aware, that I actually had a private member's motion on this, and this bill goes back to 1938, the Poor Relief Act, where occupiers of commercial premises are liable, and where rates are in arrears, the new occupier is liable. And I think that's, in this day and age, it's just not acceptable. And I'm glad you're addressing that. Can I ask, is it in this bill you're addressing it, or is it in a future bill?
We're doing it in this piece of legislation. We expect to have an amendment in the Shannon.